welcome back to another ABC Disney Channel craft tutorial. Today we are going to be making this really cute Finding Dory Hank paper craft. And so to get started, we are actually going to be making Hank's body. So Hank is an octopus. He has 8 legs and he has his main body that we need to make, which we are going to start with first. So to make his body, we actually have a template on a Google Classroom that you can print out. This is the template that you will see. You can print out just onto white paper. And so what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be cutting out around the outside of Hank's body to create this general shape here from my hand up. So just this part right here. His tentacles down here are going to be a different material, so we're not working on those right now. But basically just this top portion is what we'll be making with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just kind of cut around the outside to make this general shape. And I'll cut it out and then I'll show you what it looks like. There are a lot of curves in here, but we're actually not going to be cutting all of those. Just to kind of keep it simple, I'm just going to be cutting up the side here. And then once I get to kind of like where his head would be, I'm kind of just rounding off at the top. Kind of around like his eyebrows or his eyes. And then I'm kind of looping around in front of his nose area. And then once I get to the bottom here, I'm actually just going to be cutting straight across. We basically just want the general shape, which looks something like this. So this extra we don't need. I'm just going to set it to the side and I will recycle it later. The next step that we're going to do, so as you can see, this version of his head is a lot more simple than this one, which is what we want. That's what we're going for in this craft. And so what we are doing here is this is basically just like our stencil or our template. And next we are going to grab a sheet of red paper. And what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be just tracing along the outside of Hank's head. I am using red paper here, but if for some reason at home you don't have access to any other paper and you just have the printer paper, you can kind of skip this step and you don't need to trace on another sheet of paper. You can just go ahead and color this in and this can be your head. But I happen to have a red sheet of paper available, so I'm going to use that for the video. And so what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to trace. I'm going to set my, my stencil down and I'm going to take a pen. And I am just going to trace around the very outside of the Hank template that I cut out. It works really well if you hold your stencil down with one hand and then you trace with your dominant hand, so the hand you normally would write your name with. That tends to work out pretty well. Okay, so then I'm going to remove my stencil and just set it to the side. Now I've kind of got my general shape for my Hank head. So the very next step is to take our scissors and we're just going to basically just cut out the template that we made. So I'm going to just cut across the bottom. And then I'm going to come up on the sides. So then what I'm going to do is this will be recycled. We don't need this, so I'm just going to set it to the side for later. And then this is going to be kind of like our template here. So this is where we're going to be gluing on the eyes and attaching the tentacles onto the bottom. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually just going to set this to the side for right now. The next step is to make these fun tentacles hanging down here. So an octopus, he has 8 legs. So what we are going to be doing is we are going to be creating 8 strips of paper that are going to act as our legs or our tentacles. So on our Google Classroom, we also have a template for these printable strips. I have access to red paper, so I just printed these strips onto red paper. But if you don't have red paper available, you can totally print these strips onto just white paper. You can cut them out and then you can color them red or whatever color you want your tentacles to be. If you don't have access to a printer, that's okay. You could even just take a ruler, just draw like a straight line and then cut it to make your own strips as well. It worked just fine too. Same with the head. This is kind of just like a general shape. It's nothing too fancy, so if you don't have a printer, you could kind of just eyeball what his shape of his body looks like and just free draw it if you don't have access to a printer. But for the sake of the video, I am going to use the strips that we printed onto red paper, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut out 8 of these because our octopus has 8 legs. I think in this paper craft, what it looks like these tentacles are made out of are tissue paper or like streamers. So if you have something like streamers around your house that you're not using for anything else that you want to use for this project, you totally can. I just figured that most people would most likely have paper laying around their house versus red streamers, but if you have that or any other material that kind of acts the same as that, you can totally use that for his legs as well. So let's see, I just cut out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I need to go ahead and cut out 2 more out of this sheet to make 8. There's 1, and we'll do 1 more here. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave these right here. And the extra strips, I don't need those for this project, so I'm just going to set those to the side. So now I have his 8 tentacles or legs. So I'm just going to keep those to the side, and we will attach those in a few minutes. I'm just going to set those here. The next part of this craft are his eyes and his mouth. So there's a couple different ways you could do this. You could just cut out half circles for his eyes and then just draw a straight line for the mouth. What I may want to do is, since I have this template printed out anyways and I would just recycle this, I may actually cut out his actual eyes and use that for our template. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut those out to attach to our body that we made. And it looks like in our example, it looks like his eyes are the color blue. So I do have a blue marker here that we can color in his eyes. So if you can see here, these people who made this one, it looks like they just used white construction paper and blue construction paper. Here, I just cut out the template, and then that will go on our octopus there. And then for his mouth, it kind of looks like it is just a straight line, very similar to so you could cut out his mouth and glue that on here. I may just use the marker that I have just to draw that straight line, just so that you don't have to use any glue. So for this, I'm just going to set this to the side. I don't think I need that anymore. Same with his eyebrows. We didn't need those either, but you could always add them and add some extra color to them if that's something that you want to do. So it looks like the last piece that we need to do is to actually attach our eyes and attach our tentacles to our Hank body. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use glue to attach tentacles in my eyes. If you don't have glue at home, you could use a stapler or tape. Those work just as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just set my eyes to the side here. And I'm going to attach our tentacles first. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said in the beginning, an octopus has 8 legs. So we're going to go ahead and just attach 4 to one side and then 4 to the other side. And that kind of gives us like a dimension where it kind of looks a little bit like there's more depth to the project, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to start on one side, and I'm actually just going to glue down our strip. So I'm going to just add a little bit of glue to the top here. And I'm going to tape these downward, that I'm spacing them out kind of evenly, just so that they're not all on top of each other. And a little bit even too. It gives us just enough room on here to add 4 on each side, which is awesome. Okay, so we've got the first set of tentacles on the back, and now we're going to add a few to the front. I'll kind of show you how we're going to do this on this side, because this will be the side with our eyes attached. I kind of want to fold them over so that there's a little bit of that dimension I was talking about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a strip, and I'm going to kind of fold the top like this, and then I'm going to put glue up here or on my sheet, and I'm going to attach it and then kind of have it fold or like roll over, just to kind of add an extra dimension there. So it kind of looks like this. If you look from the side, you can see that it's kind of sticking out a little bit more than the back ones. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I'm going to grab our next sheet of paper, add a little bit of glue to the hank body. I'm going to do a little bit of a fold crease like this. And then I'm going to just push it down onto the glue that's on Hank's body. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, just fold over to the side just a little bit, and then press it down onto the glue that's on Hank's body. Move on to the very last one, adding a little bit of glue, grabbing my very last tentacle. I'm going to just fold it over a little bit again and press it down onto the Hank body here. So here is what the legs are on. So it kind of wiggles and kind of has a little bit of dimension, which is really cool. So the next step is going to be, if we look at our Hank craft, looks like we only have a few more things to do. We need to attach his eyes, and then we need to draw that mouth. So I'm going to start with gluing on the eyes. So I'm going to just put those right at the top here. Like this. And then I'm just going to draw that mouth, which is basically just a straight line. If you have a leftover piece of paper, you could use it as like a ruler, just to kind of draw that mouth. You could always freehand it as well. I'm just going to add a little line here. So I've got his mouth, and then it looks like his eyes are blue in our example here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my blue Sharpie, and I'm going to just add a little bit of color to his eyes. Again, you can use markers, you can use color pencils, you can use paints if you have paints, whatever material that you have on hand that's easy for you to use. I would encourage you to use those supplies. If you have any other materials that you want to use, you can totally use those as well. Okay, so here is our final product. Here you can see we've got Hank's legs, we have 8 of them, we have his mouth, we have his eyes, and it looks pretty similar to our example. This could be a cool project. You could even add a string to the top and hang it somewhere, like in your room. You could put it on the fridge, you could give it away as a gift. Thanks for joining me for this fun tutorial, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!